What's up everybody, this is Danny. Today we're going to be looking at two of the newest Apple tablets, and that is the iPad mini with Retina Display and the iPad Air. Now I get this question all the time, which one is better and which one should I buy? Well, what I'm going to do is give you a 5-minute essential breakdown of the iPad mini with Retina Display versus the iPad Air. So let's get started. The reason why this debate is difficult is because they're very similar to each other. The build quality is the same metal construction, but the big difference is that there is a 7.9-inch display on the iPad mini and a 9.7-inch display on the iPad Air, and there's only $100 difference between them for the base models. Unlike the last generation iPad mini, which separated itself by having a weaker processor, this time around Apple included the powerful A7 processor in the iPad mini, the exact same processor that is in the iPad Air. But the iPad Air is clocked just a little bit higher, so you may see a little bit of a performance gain. According to the benchmarks, the iPad Air is just a tiny bit faster, but you're going to get the same type of experience on a smaller scale, and this is exactly what I wanted with the first iPad mini, so I'm pretty happy with the performance of the mini with Retina Display. Let's talk about the screens a little bit, and I know a lot of people ask me which screen is better, and even though both of these screens are really good, I think that the iPad Air actually has a little bit better of a display, and even though that the mini with Retina Display has a higher pixel per inch screen, I think that the color and the saturation is better on the iPad Air. It's really hard to see on camera, but I think it does have a better display. But you won't be disappointed at all. They both have great viewing angles, and I think they're very sharp, and I don't think you'll be disappointed in either of these displays. The next thing to think about is form factor. And of course the iPad Air is a larger device, so it's going to be a little bit more bulky. But it's light too, so you don't have to worry about the weight. But if you want a larger device with a larger display, then the iPad Air is the one for you. But me personally, I really love the iPad mini with Retina Display because I like the portability in it. It's lighter, it's much easier to hold in the hand, and if you want to use this thing with one hand, then the iPad mini with Retina Display is the only choice because the iPad Air is very difficult to operate with one hand. But one-handed use with tablets isn't really a big deal. These are just personal preferences that I have. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to performance. And since these two tablets are being powered by the exact same chip, the performance is very similar. The touchscreen sensitivity is great between the both of them. App launch times and daily processes, they feel almost exactly the same. The only difference I saw a little bit is gaming. The iPad Air had a little bit of an advantage due to the higher clock speed, and I saw that some of the games run just a tad smoother on the iPad Air, but the difference is just very subtle. To be honest, I think if you're a gamer, I don't think you're going to have any problems with either of these devices. The iPad Air, it ran games very smooth, but the only thing is that the iPad mini with Retina Display was a little bit easier to hold for me, especially in prolonged gaming sessions. Between the two, I don't really think you have to worry about longevity of these tablets. The battery life, I found them to be pretty equal. I was able to use these for 2 days on moderate use or maybe even more, but definitely a full day's use no matter what you're doing. So if you're browsing the web, watching YouTube or whatever it is, it's definitely got the battery for it. Now, both of these tablets have the exact same 5-megapixel camera, so one does not perform better than the other, and the software is exactly the same on both. And photography is kind of a wash anyway when it comes to these tablets, so just know that both of these tablets have the exact same 5-megapixel camera and the same front-facing camera. Now that we've looked at the basics, which one should you buy? Well, it really depends on your preference. I mean, they're both powered by the same chip, they both have that great construction, and they both do the task pretty much the same. So you really have to ask yourself, do you want the smaller, more portable package in the iPad mini with Retina Display, or do you want the more traditional 9.7-inch full-size iPad Air? If you want a personal opinion or value that at all, I like the iPad mini with Retina Display. I like the smaller form factor, and even though that the display is not as good as the one on the iPad Air, I just prefer it on sheer size and the way it feels in the hand. And I also get the same performance out of the full-size iPad in the smaller form factor. So what do you guys think? Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter @SuperScientific, and I will see you guys in the next video.